It was not until one client called me on the phone in great distress to tell me that someone was hitting her that I began to realize the reality of DID. In response to my inquiry as to who was there, she said, "No one," but she continued to insist that someone was hitting her. Before long, I began to put it together and realized that a dissociated part of her, an alter, was hitting her, but that she experienced this as another person hitting her. In 1995, I presented a paper at the International Society for the Study of Trauma and Dissociation, ISSTD, on masochism as a trauma disorder. As I learned more and more about trauma and dissociation at conferences and workshops, I felt that my real education in psychology and mental health treatment had just began. This was after my PhD in clinical psychology, my 2-year postdoctoral program, and 4 years of analytic training. As I learn more and more about trauma and dissociation, I feel that my education continues. Particularly important to me has been learning about the multiple self-state model of the self, including the dissociated self-state model, formulated in psychoanalysis by Philip Bromberg, Stephen Mitchell, and others, but also powerfully ratified by Frank Putnam's research on discrete behavioral and mental states. Along with many others, I have developed different ways of understanding how certain problems of living develop in the matrix of trauma and dissociation in ways that may open up avenues to healing. In the following sections, I will describe how I think of trauma and dissociation and why I think it is an apt language for psychotherapy. In this book, I will describe why I define trauma as what causes dissociation, why I think problematic or psychopathological splitting originates in a process that Sandor Ferenczi, 1949, called identification with the aggressor, why I view a particular form of dissociation of self due to attachment problems as tantamount to superego, and other ways that I view the importance of dissociation. It is impossible to fully capture in words the kinds of information and affect that flow back and forth within people and between people, including between client and therapist. We work as theorists to find better theoretical models to help explain why what is happening. As clinicians, our goal is to be able to helpfully respond to what our clients tell us, even when we can't fully cognitively understand what is happening in them, in us, and between us. I think that the increasing recognition of trauma and dissociation, as they become more visible, are here to stay, even though societal and personal denial may try to slow it down. Introduction. We are on the cusp of a major change in the way clinicians understand the human mind. From about the late 1980s to the present, there has been an explosion of interest in trauma in the mental health field. However, it is not just knowledge about trauma that is increasing. We are also learning how the human mind is dissociatively structured. In fact, one could say that the meaning of psychological trauma is that it causes dissociation of the mind. Many different ways of looking at the self coalesce in the new trauma dissociation model. The trauma dissociation model departs from the older, often implicit medical model that in theory identified a specific pathogen with a specific disease, in which the practitioner as a person is removed from the person of the patient, and in which the practitioner's treatment fixes the patient's disorder. We are departing from models that primarily stress psychic determinism and unconscious agency while ignoring or obfuscating the real and lasting damage of exogenous trauma. We are leaving behind a one-person model in which psychodynamics primarily emanate from forces and fantasies within the person, and moving toward an embrace of a two-person model that recognizes relational interactions. The trauma and dissociation-informed approach transforms ways of understanding psychopathology.